I'm here with Gary McKinnon, and we're here to talk about his possible extradition to the United States for some hacking that he's done, and some investigation he's also done on the part of UFOs and disclosure. So, Gary, maybe you can tell me what it is that the U.S. government is really sort of on about in regard to you, and your perspective on it.
The main thing that concerns me, I've made full and frank admissions all the way down to police interviews that yes, I did obtain unauthorised access to these systems. But they're piling on these ridiculous damage claims. And I've since found out that for it to be worth a year in prison in America for an extradition case, it has to be worth at least $5,000 damage because it comes under cybercrime. So, as if by magic, lo and behold, every machine I was on, I'm accused of causing exactly $5,000 worth of damage to. So it's patently untrue. And in my opinion, and the opinion of others more well-informed than me, the pressure they're bringing to bear has more to do with where I've been and what I may have seen.
Okay, so yeah, I found that very interesting that they were actually claiming damage, because my understanding is you were on a dial-up modem and that you didn't even download files. So how is it that you actually did any damage?
They've got no explanation. I mean, they just claim it. And under this new extradition law, you don't have to provide any evidence, which is ridiculous. And also, it hasn't been signed on your side of the water. Congress, Senate hasn't ratified it, so at the moment it's a treaty with only one signature.
Okay, and you had one hearing, and when was that exactly?
The last one was, I think, in the middle of May or towards the end of May, I'm not sure.
And you have another one coming up in July, is that right?
No hearing scheduled as yet. We've got till June the 21st to make representations to the Home Secretary, and then after which time he'll make his decision as to whether or not the extradition is allowable. And then if he decides that it is allowable, which I'm sure he will, then I can go in the appeals process.
Okay, and so once you're in the appeals process, you're still safe over here, so to speak, in terms of they actually can't do anything to you yet. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, I've been on bail now, £5,000 security for months and months, and since before that, well, for 4 years since the arrest. So for 4
years,
yeah,
you've been
March
on.
2002, they arrested me.
Wow. Okay. So maybe you could explain exactly what you're in for, or up for, I guess might be a better word.
Apparently, it's 7 counts of intentional malicious damage and unauthorised access, each count carrying 10 years maximum each. And previously, the American government had tried to do some deals with me, whereby they said, if you don't force us to go through extradition and just come across of your own free will, then we'll give you only 3 to 4 years in prison, most of which you can serve in your own country after the first 6 months or 12 months. I said, fine, that sounds great, give me that in writing. Guess what happened? I didn't get it in writing. So I said no to the various deal offers. So it looks like on paper, they said to me, if you don't accept the deal, we'll prosecute you to the max. That's a verbatim quote from Ed Gibson, who was the attaché of the US Embassy in London at the time. And to me, that's not a deal. A deal is something arrived at after reasonable discussion between 2 or more parties.
Absolutely.
Not saying, here it is, if you don't take it, we'll prosecute you to the max. So yeah, I think they do want to try and push for the full 60, 70 years in prison, which is ridiculous considering they had blank passwords and in other words, no passwords.
Right. So let's get into that a little bit. You basically, I don't know if you want me to use the word hack. I don't know if you consider yourself a hacker or did at the time.
I never did consider myself a hacker at the time. And also basically all I was doing, because it was an administrator level account, let's not forget, with full control of the local machine, with a blank password. So it was almost like logging on.
So let's back up one minute here, and exactly what were you looking for when you were doing this?
At first I was looking for anything to do with UFOs. As I got more into the subject and listened to more serious talk and discussion about the subject, and was introduced to the Disclosure Project, and realised that there were 400 witness testimonials from people that had worked from everything in civilian air traffic control, up to military radar operators, right up to men and women in charge of whether or not to launch nuclear missiles. I thought these are surely credible people. And the whole suppressed technology thing of it, which kind of grabbed my humanitarian side. I thought, crikey, we're having wars over oil, we're burning fossil fuels, polluting the environment. We have old age pensioners dying in Britain because they can't afford to heat themselves because the fuel bills are so high. So I thought, why on earth is this technology being sat on? I can see perhaps some of the arguments that may be forwarded, what if terrorists had free energy, or terrorists had anti-gravity, or what if terrorists had guns? Everything's dual use.
Sure.
Yeah, if you protect it, make it tamper-proof, anything, but just get it out to the public, because surely everyone should have it.
Okay, so, but as far as the hacker community, you said, I believe, in some of the things I read, that you came across a lot of other sort of interested parties that were investigating the same places you were, and were aware that they were blank passwords and were able to get into via the administrative sites. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I would have been surprised if there wasn't anyone else, because it wasn't even really a hack to get into. It was just large-scale phishing for blank passwords. And some of these places, were pretty special places. They weren't places that you would think wouldn't have firewalls or blank passwords.
And this was what year that you were involved in this?
2000, 2001.
Mm-hmm. So it's not that long ago, so computer systems should have been, especially for government and military and NASA, you would think they would be covered.
Absolutely.
For things like that.
In fact, I think they're supposed to be federal guidelines,
Mm-hmm. So in a way, you did them a favor. Isn't that true?
Yeah, you could look at it like that, because I'm sure, the other connections that were there, Turkey, Holland, Germany, all across the world, you see the IP address list of who's connected to the machine, then you can look it up and find out which countries they're in, and even which businesses own the IPs. And I don't know whether that was foreign governments, it could have been Al-Qaeda, or it could have been someone else just like me who's just snooping around, who knows.
That's a very interesting point. So you've got these administrators basically that got found out because of what you did.